welcome, I'm Zombie Kitty and welcome to another reaction video. So, it's been a really long time since we've actually done a video on the Saw fan film universe. I'm so sorry that it's been such a long time. I think the last one was called Game Over, and I want to say it was like 7 or 8 months ago. I do apologise for that. These videos do take a lot of time to record and react to, so again, I apologise. This is kind of going to be the same thing, so that was my earphone. This is called the Jigsaw blogs. So this is the next section in the Saw fan film universe that we've been reacting to over the last year or so. So what I was told is that the next parts of the universe to react to is the Jigsaw blogs, episodes 1 to 13. Now, there's a lot. There is a lot of videos between, because it's not just 13 episodes, it's also, there's like evidence vlogs in between some episodes. So I'm actually going to be splitting these up into a group of 4 videos. 3 videos, 4 videos per reaction video, that kind of thing. So we're going to be reacting to episodes 1 to 4 today, and then the next section, which I will do this year, don't worry, I'm not going to leave it another blooming year. I'm going to react to the next section, so 5, 6, I think there's a couple of like evidence things, yeah, there's evidence videos and stuff like that, so I'll be reacting to those in a few months' time. Again, that will be after summer, because again, longer videos are a bit suffering in this warm room, just a little bit, so that'll be after summer as well. I'm going to try and do shorter videos during the summer, just so I don't spend so long in this room. But yeah, so this is going to be episodes 1 to 4. I have no idea what this is or what this is going to be like, and I've purposefully not looked into it because I want to go into this completely blind. So yeah, let's go. Okay. Jigsaw blogs episode 1, 2017. Jacob Walton.
Oh.
Hi.
These camera things right here, but so I get a phone call from school that we are off work today on a Friday. And so I'm looking into why, and I've been checking the news on my phone right here that there's apparently been another murder that took place late last night. And typically what that means is if there's like a murder within like a 5-mile radius, let alone 2 murders that happen, then they typically cancel school, which, you know, I applaud the school's decision for that. But something's weird's going on because we get an Amber Alert about like some sort of body hung over the bridge of Stolberg Avenue, which,
oh, I see, okay.
You know, you think nothing of it.
Stolberg, nice.
What made this peculiar is that there was a second murder last night with a body being thrown off a building, and you're thinking to yourself, well, we got another typical murder here in the metropolitan area, which it doesn't surprise me. We have a population of 2 million people in this city.
Okay.
But, you know, they said that it could potentially be John Kramer, and...
Okay, that doesn't make sense. Yeah, because 2017...
No.
Yeah.
It can't be John Kramer.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if I'm rambling here, but, see, 10 years ago, it was one of the darkest times in our city's history.
Yeah, I was trying to think what the timing was of this.
I was 16 years old when I knew about the first Jigsaw killings. And then for like a full 1.5, 2-year period where we all were just petrified of coming to this city and hearing on the news, like every, 4 or 5 days, another Jigsaw murder, another Jigsaw murder. I literally lost count of seeing how many people were murdered by John Kramer. I mean, it's just insane, that one man, like some 50-year-old man with cancer, no less, is able to kill, like, 40 or 50 people? Like, it's just unheard of.
Yeah, because they wouldn't have released that to the general public. that there's other people helping
when I
him.
was 16 years old,
I didn't really think about that one, actually.
I've had people in my school district that were affected by this. I don't want to name names here, but you probably all know, but that's just what's going on right there. But so now that I get the news that
I thought he was going to name drop something then.
You know, Jigsaw's back from the grave, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, there was like it was like a recurring joke that there was like a tourist attraction. You know, people would literally go, to all the buildings, like the Gideon Meatpacking Factory, which that's been shut down. It's now a new building in general, but people would go there all the time. Tourists, camera crew.
Yeah, I was about to say. I thought he was going to reference the London escape room.
It became a
but
laughing
this was
stock where people were really coming here.
This episode came out 4 years ago.
Say phrases like, "Oh, do you want to play a game?" I got kids at school nowadays. Just like 4 or 5 weeks ago, I had one kid that uttered that phrase in the hallway to one of his classmates. Who they tend to pick on all that. I won't name names here, but you see, that's just the kind of culture that this John Kramer established here, and it got me thinking. What is his legacy gonna be? What is John Kramer's legacy gonna be?
I mean, it's this.
Because if you ask anybody on the news, they would say, he's a murderer. He's a psychopathic killer who's a serial killer that killed about 50 or 60 people.
Yeah.
Let alone there were like 30 or 40 people on the police force that had died because of this man. But there's the other approach. There's the other approach, you see. He was a killer, but his motivations were something more.
Yeah.
And I know it sounds strange, me being a history teacher and all, but the fact of the matter is, what is his philosophy? The man is insane, no doubt, but is he right or is he not wrong when it comes to this stuff right here?
So this is the questions that I liked about.
Do his methods really work?
The first couple of films sort of aren't. They're like, oh.
And some people are crazy because there's you're on two sides of the fence. Either you understand John Kramer's intentions, or you just accept the fact that this man is truly insane and he truly kills.
Or you just think he's a nutcase.
Anybody who he thinks does not follow his ideal philosophy in life. I can go on about the story and the time of John Kramer's here, but you've had people all over the internet, you've seen documentations.
Yeah, I have a lot to say once we finish this as well.
There's books and journal magazines and creds written about this man. So I'm not going to get into the philosophy here, but which brings me to today and why I'm recording these messages today.
Okay.
I don't know if I can go through this again. There was a part of me growing up as a kid I was kind of fascinated with John Kramer. And I'm not talking his traps and his vicious things and stuff like that. No.
But philosophically is what you mean.
Is he onto something?
Yeah, philosophically is what you mean.
Which makes you kind of wonder philosophies.
Yeah.
I myself, as a history teacher, am just astonished by the research and the dedication that John Kramer had to his beliefs. And so now, when I get the news that they cancel school today because apparently the Jigsaw killer is back.
Yeah.
It's just nuts.
Yeah, you're interested in it as a
refuse
kid.
To believe.
But now that you're a teacher and it's affecting you, it's different.
Right now, that they are apparently digging up John Kramer's grave.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Someone who had cancer, supposedly died 10 years ago, is still alive.
Okay, yeah, I get when this is set then.
For some reason they think it's John Kramer. Our police force is a joke. Seriously, they are a joke. You know how much crime has gone through this city lately?
I'm so interested to know then what your reaction would be.
How many kids at our school district
when they found that other guy's body in there?
Over the past couple of months. You can go on the news about the whole police brutality and stuff like that, but to them actually have the gall to think that John Kramer is alive just shows what kind of morons we have at the police force. But that's just the whole point right there. They're going through, they're digging up his grave right now. And the fact that they got news crew going on the TV right now as I'm watching, that they're just, I see they're just now finishing digging up the gravesite right now.
Oh, he's actually watching the news.
Some coroner guy right there. It looks like that guy, Detective Hunt, is at the scene right now. The guy we watched on the news last night.
Oh, he's actually watching it as it's happening, okay.
They're going to go through the grave right there, and they're going to find John Kramer's body.
No, they're not.
He is not alive, people. John Kramer is...
Yes. Yep. Oh, I was waiting for that. So now what do you say?
Oh my god.
Yep. Oh, that's a brilliant way to end it. Okay, that was a fantastic way to start and to end that video. Oh my god. Because I didn't realise... So, okay, I didn't really connect the dates that it was like, okay, 2017 was when the film Jigsaw came out. And, yeah, in the film... sorry, not sorry, I'm kind of going to be spoiling pretty much all the Saw films. If you haven't seen them by this point, sorry, but I'm going to have to talk about it. But basically in Jigsaw, yeah, it's essentially the same thing. The Jigsaw murders start happening again 10 years later. The police are going, that doesn't make sense. Jigsaw's been dead for 10 years. Okay, we're going to go to the gravesite to prove to everyone that he is dead. They open up the coffin, and it's a previous victim's body in the coffin. And then he said, oh, I'm watching it as it's happening. I was like, yes, yes. So what do you say now? Now that everything's been proven wrong, like, what do you say now? I honestly thought he was going to come out and say that he was a philosophy teacher. But I think what's going to be, and I don't know if they are going to do this, but him saying he's a history teacher, I don't know if he's going to want to go into... Because he said he as a kid he was interested by John Kramer and the philosophical side of it, of like, okay, is he just a nutcase or was he actually helping people? Because the summertime, especially in the earlier films, like the victims he chose were there for a specific reason. And that's always what I found interesting about the earlier Saw films. Yes, they got a bit silly because apprentices came in and they all had their own ideas of what they were going to do with John Kramer's like traps and the name and the legacy. So it all got a bit silly in the later films because of that, because it wasn't John Kramer's thinking anymore. But in the earlier films it was John Kramer and his sort of, you know, ideas and his beliefs and, yeah, his philosophical beliefs of why he was doing this. And to me, I find that also quite interesting. Does that make it good? No, not really, but I think it's still interesting to think about and to sort of, yeah, it's an interesting topic. So I do kind of get of when he was like, oh, as a kid I was really interested in like the why of everything, and I was like, yeah, I can get that. What I also like, and I've said this with every single like the Saw fan film universe, is that I really like that, again, these fan films, apologies if you can hear my dogs, these fan films like focus on the everyday person. And like, yeah, again, like Saw 3D kind of did pick up on this, on like, you know, the news reports of the victims afterwards, and you had the support group, like the support help group and stuff. But they never really fully went into, okay, what do the general public think of the Jigsaw murders? What are their opinions on this? So I've always really liked this fan film universe for going all in on that idea. I think it's really, really interesting. Dogs, you haven't seen the Saw films. You don't know what you're talking about. But yeah, this was a fantastic way to start things off and to kick things off. And yeah, especially that ending, like, what a way to end it. I knew it was going to happen. I was waiting for that to happen. Yeah, so I forgot to mention this. So the Jigsaw blogs are spanning over 4 years in real life. So The first episode came out 4 years ago, so we've got a lot to get through, but yeah, this is probably going to take, I reckon, another year to do, to be honest. But episode 2 is called jigsawrules.com is shut down. Oh, I'm trying to remember, because there was an actual fan website revolving around the films, and it was like a message board website, and I can't remember if it was called Jigsaw Rules or the House of Jigsaw. I don't really remember. But yeah, I'm interested to know where this is going to go now. So yeah, let's go. Okay, so is this the same day? Oh, this is a couple of hours later, I think.
Oh. So,
yeah.
It's been a very interesting 12 hours here. Apparently, when I last left off, I was
it's
watching
12
the
hours
news,
later, okay.
Apparently, John Kramer's body was not in the casket.
No, it wasn't.
No. John Kramer's body was not in the casket. The cops still won't ID whose body it was in the casket, but we did confirm that it wasn't, in fact, John Kramer's body in that casket.
Yeah.
So I've been on the news trying to figure things out lately and watching carefully, and according to the news right here, we have the identity of one body that was found on Stolberg Avenue over the bridge. It belongs to a man named Malcolm Neal. And not much surprise here. All this knows that he was arrested in trouble for gambling debt issues, which...
Yeah, wasn't he then a Jigsaw victim as well? I can't quite remember.
Seems like the right kind of guy that John Kramer would go after. Yeah.
I mean, I guess.
The question is he alive? And I wish I could just sit here and say that, no, he's dead.
But what you've just seen...
Here's another piece of news that comes to mind.
Yeah.
They found DNA evidence. Yeah.
I don't
DNA
remember
evidence
this.
that belongs to John Kramer. I know what you're thinking. Well, he's alive. He's alive.
I don't remember this. Okay. I thought you were going to drink a bottle of whiskey, but okay. I thought you were going to drink like a bottle of alcohol, but I mean, to be fair, whatever you just took might calm you down as well.
Video, I said I can't go through this again. And I mean that.
Okay.
You see, when I was a kid, I didn't have a whole lot of friends. I had acquaintances through high school and stuff like that. I'm not going to tell you my whole life story because, that's not what you tend to listen to in these videos right here that I'm making. But when I was 16 years old, I ride to school with my mom, who was a teacher. That's my school. She taught elementary while I was in high school. So I caught a ride with her, and then instead of going to the cafeteria, like, how you do, how you go to high school in the mornings, you go in, you go to the cafeteria, you visit with your friends. I didn't do that when I was a kid. Instead, the first thing I did was I go into there, she gets to work about 7 o'clock in the morning, that leaves me about 30 minutes to go in her classroom, and I would get on her computer. Every morning I would get on her computer, and, I just goof around, go on interests, whether it be, TV shows, wrestling, baseball, sporting events, whatever I could find on the school's computer. But there was one website that every now and then, while this was going on, I would kind of go to.
Yeah, so you used to go on it as well.
Rules. It's called jigsawrules.com. And you're thinking, well, it's easy. I can go find it right now. But it's a website
on it earlier?
It's kind of devoted to Jigsaw. Okay. And there's two main parts of that website. Number one is, which is what I went into, was its philosophies. Getting to know John Kramer, who he is, where he came from, his beliefs, why people are being tested, why does he do what he does. And then the other part of the website is devoted to his work. And when I mean work, I mean his death traps.
Okay, yeah, and I guess that would make sense.
For the most times I'm in there, I glanced on a few things, and there are a lot of crazy, sick individuals out there who get kicks on watching people die or get the body, mutilated and stuff like that. I never got into it.
Oh wait,
And
there was
so,
actually like videos.
During this whole time, I would
There
go
would be videos on that website
using the school's website. There was a day where I got in big trouble and I ended up losing internet privileges. It's amazing my mom didn't get as much trouble as she did, but
I mean, that side of the website is weird, but then I remember Live Leak.
Once I was able to go home,
so
I was able to go on the website, and what I would do is I would go there and I would find and look up ideas, and there'd be message boards. There'd be usernames such as, Vince 360, Night of the Rebel Realm.
This is kind of what I was describing a minute ago.
Great people that talk and interact with, and people that contribute their own ideas and all kinds of good stuff they have on there. And so there's one username on there. His name's Mark. Good guy. Good guy. And he would be one of the admins of that website. And he would be in charge of, making sure it was well hidden, so we could just do what we do, and we could just talk and relate and go on to each website and go on each variables, and we could just talk, just have, interactions. In a way, I felt like, I found camaraderie. I found, friends that, people I could talk to, people I could relate with.
I'm trying to think, was this website mentioned in the films, actually?
There was one day...
I can't remember.
And I'll never forget this. During the times of the Jigsaw murders, there was one girl, and I'll never forget this, who was in my mother's class. She was 8 years old at the time, and my mom taught 2nd grade. And we find out that her parents were killed.
Okay.
In the Jigsaw attacks. And I'm on there one day, on that website, just sitting there, and all of a sudden, my mom comes in and she's in tears.
Was the parents...
My mother was crying.
Was it Lynn and Jeff?
And she tells me that one of her students' parents were killed and were murdered.
Yeah, I think it might have been Jeff and Lynn.
I'm watching the website. That's something that John Kramer wouldn't do.
From Saw 3.
But the girl came in. She was in tears.
Yeah.
And she would gather all her things from her office and from her desk. And that was the last that I saw her.
Because I was going to make the joke of like, oh, is Mark Hoffman. But actually, now that he's just said that, I'm like, actually, was it? Please don't take any more pills. You don't need to.
But my mom, before she left, my mom pulled her off in the hallway, and I snuck out the door, just took a little peek and see how she was doing.
Okay.
And she looked at her, and she just told her, I'm so sorry that you have to go through this. If there's anything that you need, she knows where to find her. Never seen that girl again. Never seen her from her. Got her name. Never heard from her again. Maybe we see what all's been going on lately. All the lives that have been affected by one way or the other by John Kramer. It gets to you. So when I try to go back on this website, jigsawrules.com today, just to see, who all's there, it's been shut down. So if you try to go type in jigsawrules.com, this is what you would see.
Wait, you're actually going to show it? Let's have a look. Oh, okay. Yeah,
no longer have access to that website.
Yeah, so it got shut down by authorities or something.
I got my phone on the side here, and I've been trying to call my buddy Mark, who I mentioned a while ago, is one of the moderators of that website.
Yeah, I'm wondering if that's Hoffman.
And if the cops think that John Kramer is back alive 10 years later, causing this again, then that just shows that they are incompetent. The police think that he is alive. Unreal.
But yeah.
So, if the cops tend to think that John Kramer is alive, and they're not willing to do whatever it takes to find who dug up his body, and obviously replaced his body with this new guy that we see on the news right here, if they're not going to do anything to stop and figure this out, then I have no choice. I'm going to figure this out myself.
Is someone calling you? Who's calling you?
Hey, Mark. Jacob Walton. Or would you prefer user Saw Rules 8? I know you've been watching the news, and I know that you understand what all's going on right now. Your website's crashed. There's no way of logging in right now.
See, I think you're playing with fire here.
I prefer Skype session.
Skype, Jesus, we've come a long way.
Let me get this message.
I think you're playing with fire, mate.
The games have just begun.
Yeah, I think you're playing with fire, mister. I don't think that's going to go well. Okay, so, there's a lot. This is really interesting. For something that is literally just him talking to a camera like I'm doing right now, I'm finding this really, really interesting. I'm wondering if the fan site, so the fan site in real life was either called Jigsaw Rules or the House of Jigsaw or something like that. But I swear, I think it was either in, again, I think it was in Saw 3D or Jigsaw, that the Jigsaw Rules website was mentioned. I don't remember which film it was in. Last film I watched was Saw X, so, and it never mentions it. But I can't remember which one was like the real website and which one was, the make-believe film website that he's describing. Because obviously, in reality, that website was just the message board site that he was describing. We didn't have any of that, video stuff where you could watch people get tortured. Like, there was none of that kind of thing at all. But the fact that he was like, oh, it seems a bit, there's sick individuals who would watch it. It's like, yeah, I remember Live Leak. And people would watch that all the time and be like, oh, I dare you to watch this of a real person getting mutilated and blah, blah, blah. And yeah, I remember that and thinking like, why the hell would you want to watch that? Okay, yeah, I was going to make a joke when he mentioned, oh, one of the admins or the mods was called Mark. And I was like, oh, was it Mark Hoffman? Ha ha ha, just saying it as a joke. But actually, hang on a minute, actually, it might have been the girl that he was talking about when he was a kid, and the little girl that was in his mum's school that she worked at. I think that was Lynn and Jeff's daughter. So in Saw 3, again, sorry I'm going to be spoiling the Saw films, but both of them do die, and then Jeff gets told, by the way, I imprisoned your daughter and John Kramer was the only one who knew where the daughter was. And you've just killed me, so you're never going to know where your daughter is. And the daughter then gets saved by Mark Hoffman, who you find out, I think is in the next film or the film after you find that out. But yeah, I never know what happened to her afterwards, actually. There are a couple of loose ends and sort of questions I have from the original Saw franchise that I would be interested to know. If we never get answers, can't really say I'm too bothered, but it would be interesting to know, to be honest. At the same time, I don't feel we have to have every question answered. So, yeah. But there's a good point, like what happened to her after the events of Saw 3? Like, she got rescued and saved, and then what? Maybe she went with relatives or grandparents or something. So, I don't know. But the next one I'm interested in because I think I think he's going to have a problem where he's going to get too close to what's going on. And that's the other thing with, like, The Apprentices, is that John Kramer didn't really care if you got too close to what was going on. The Apprentices did. Amanda, you had Logan, you had Mark, where they all do care. And, like, if you get too close to solving something, you're going to end up in a jigsaw trap or end up killed. So, Jacob, I think you're playing with fire here a bit, but we'll see how the next episode goes, which is called Calling Mark. So I'm very interested to know how this is going to go. Okay, 30th of October. So this is a couple of days later. Oh, so I'm guessing you've got the Skype meeting then. That feels so weird hearing that.
Hey Mark, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry, I prefer voice calls at the moment, if that's...
Sorry, I forgot to put captions
Well, tell
on.
me, what the hell is going on? Is Jigsaw back? How many victims are there? Why is your website down?
Too many questions.
One question at a time, man. Seriously, I got people watching me right now.
I like the profile picture.
Line is super secure, so let's just keep it calm.
Wait, what?
Never mind, man. Just one thing at a time, okay?
I'm sorry, man. It's just that there's just been so much going on. This city is just now in a state of chaos right now.
They don't need to be. I mean, we all know that John Kramer is 100% dead. He has been for 10 years. I mean, what is everyone so freaked out about?
So how do you explain about the guy they found in the
Yeah, I was
casket?
going to say, what about
Why hasn't the media released anything on that yet? What can you tell me?
I mean, I've seen some footage. I've been able to kind of ID that it is Edgar Mutson. He's a former drug dealer. He's a criminal informant. I mean, kind of seems like the perfect guy to get swept up in all of this, if you ask me.
So
Okay.
how does a man wind up in a coma, and yet he somehow ends up in the casket before the police dug it up?
You know what? Based on what I can gather, I think what I understand is that the police were digging up the casket in two groups, one at night and one in the morning. So there was a free spot sometime between 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. So maybe that explains it.
And nobody thought to stand and watch the gravesite.
Well, it's not like they thought that John Kramer was going to get out of
Yeah, I was
this
gonna
casket
say,
and
why
walk
would
away.
they?
Dude is dead.
There's
Fair
not
point.
really much point
So
with
what
that,
about
yeah.
the bodies discovered by the cops? I mean, we already know about Malcolm Neal, but what about the other two bodies?
Just a couple of small timers, man. One Lauren Beatty and then another James Gomez. I mean, the only thing that really messes me up is James Gomez. That guy looks like he went through some kind of a grinder, dude. He was all shredded up.
Oh, it was him!
Jeez.
I couldn't remember
Do we have
who
any
that one
idea who's
was.
behind this?
Yeah, he ended up
I
completely
don't know,
shredded to
man.
pieces.
Based on what I have, I can just tell you it's not John Kramer.
What do you mean it's not John Kramer? The cops claim they found DNA.
Then someone planted his DNA, man. I don't
Yeah.
know. Like, the guy's been dead for 10 years.
So what that could mean is it has to be someone that works for the police force, right? But do you still think it could be Hoffman?
I don't think so. I mean, he isn't causing that much trouble anymore. I mean, do you remember what
Yeah, 'cause
happened
he's
when
blooming
he
locked in a
killed all those
bathroom.
cops?
I do remember. It was leaked to the press that someone sent a picture of Mark Hoffman chained in the same bathroom that Dr. Gordon and Adam was in. It said something along the lines of he's officially out of the game now.
Something like that, yeah. I still
So-
can't believe they haven't found that place. I mean, where was he even locked up at?
Right, but I'm just shocked that they were able to get the footage from
Yeah.
the bathroom itself.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah,
confused
that's from
by.
the moderator, the organ donor. He's one of the founding members of the website. He's got some really deep connections.
Yeah.
Who is
Oh.
he doesn't usually post anything on the forums page.
He's mostly into the trap portion of the website. I haven't really gotten to that section myself. It's all just him and ST.
Because I was going to
Seriously,
say,
I
like,
can't
okay,
say
that
all
would have been
much.
Lawrence
I was
Gordon
more
then
interested
who
in everything
had
else
that
he did.
footage.
Right? Well, if it's not Hoffman, I don't know who else it could be. I mean, if you really think about it, Amanda's dead. Zach is
Oh,
dead.
yeah, they wouldn't
Mark
have known
Blake is
about.
dead.
Okay, yeah.
Who?
Yeah,
Well,
they
from
wouldn't
what
have
I know
known
right
about
now,
Lawrence.
They have 3 suspects, 2 of their own pathologists and 1 Detective Halloran.
Well, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah,
I mean,
okay, yeah.
That department should have records of DNA from John Kramer.
Yeah, but I do think that Halloran seems to be the prime suspect right now.
Yeah,
Like,
because
I
he
don't
was,
have a whole
he
lot
was,
of information
yeah, he was
on the
framed.
guy other than those two small timers I told you about. They seem to be involved with a couple of his failed cases over the last couple years.
So he could be a victim as well.
I mean, true, but right now all three are missing, so who really knows?
Well, that's just great.
You know, we
So
have
you got no
bigger
leads.
problems than that right now, though, man.
Why is that?
So, I got an email from a branch of the FBI that our website needs to be taken down. You know, apparently, we are being considered an interference in current police work.
Well, that shouldn't concern you, right? Right?
Well,
Mark?
uh,
Mark, are you still there?
Look, man, there are only two other people and myself that moderate this website. And when it first started, it was all hunky-dory. I mean, we were all just getting together. We were understanding.
yeah,
exactly
you
where
get
John
too
Kramer
close
was
and that's when the
coming
problems
from.
start.
Me personally, I just loved everything about the dude, like his entire philosophy and everything that he did to create his traps. The guy
Okay.
recorded everything. You might have seen some trap blueprints, maybe even some footage from the traps. And
He's gone a bit panicky.
honestly, the guy recorded tapes, hours and hours of his own thoughts and his own philosophy. It's really interesting. And not just that, but going in and listening to everything from the people who
Why are
survived
you
the
suddenly
traps and
sounding
just
like you're
how much he
panicking?
helped them, making them see their vices right up in front of them. That's why I got involved. But honestly, over the years, it's just kind of gotten more and more depraved. People have been more and more involved with the trap section and all of their gross content and things that they're just putting in there. It's kind of disturbing to me.
So, what's the problem? Why are the cops looking at you? I mean, you're not involved in these events.
No, man, no. But look, I think that someone in the website might actually be, if you can believe it.
Really? Like who?
Yeah.
I
Like
don't know, man,
Lawrence.
like I told you, there's some real crazy people there in the traps section. I mean, seriously, people get off on this stuff. People like this E. Bonneville chick. I mean, she buys all of
Oh, I
these
forgot about her.
details and her housing mission page. I mean, she just comes up with some really gross things. Or those posers who try to tell everyone that they're doing their own tests and coming up with their own trap ideas.
Yeah, so
It's just
Spiral.
real sick, man.
What happened with Spiral?
Boy, I'm glad I stayed away from that section.
But it gets worse, man. So last week, I was really contacted out of the blue by the organ donor, which is really like one of the very first times I've ever had a conversation.
I just realised
with
that
him
the
via
organ
email.
donor was
And he
the
told me
working
that the
title of
website
the
might
first
be
Saw
taken
film.
down soon, and he wanted to get my physical address because he wanted to send
That's
me
cool.
some hard copies of the information that we've collected over the years, just so the police couldn't track it. And you're thinking, okay, that sounds kind of reasonable, but now with all of this,
No, that
I
sounds
don't know. He sent me
weird.
this box, and I don't know.
What was in the box?
Man, I can't even say. I shouldn't say on the call, man. But when I opened it,
You said it was
I saw
secure,
firsthand
though.
everything that John Kramer has done to his victims. I mean, I gotta tell you, this is some disturbing shit. I had to put it away. I put it in the closet. I'm not even gonna look at it.
Or was it
I've
Logan
actually
who
been
sent
thinking
it to
about
him?
burning the damn thing. I mean, seriously, I could go to jail for this.
Calm down,
He's
Mark.
gonna
Just
want
calm
to find
down.
out what it is.
I don't know what to do, man. At first, this was just, fun. It was getting together, it was talking to people and having a nice time, getting, some really deep shit about weird concepts of philosophy and John Kramer. But honestly, it's getting too real now. I mean,
Yeah.
seriously, I can lose my job. I could go to jail.
Mark, do you still have the box?
Yeah, I have.
Don't
I have
ask
I have
for
a-
it.
a
Alright, you
closet.
need to listen to me. You listen to me right now, okay?
Don't ask for it.
I'll take it.
No!
I'll take the box.
What?
No!
Because Somebody out there has to figure out the truth about what all's going on out here.
This is so
I mean, if it's
dumb.
not John Kramer that's doing all these attacks, then the world deserves to know what Jigsaw is and is not responsible for.
I mean, yeah, but are you sure? I mean, this is some really messed up shit, man. You do not want any part of it.
Yeah, you don't.
Trust me, I'll be fine. Besides, I've been admiring for John Kramer's story for a long time. Plus, as a history teacher, I kind of want to know the truth about the guy, you know?
Yeah, but you're
I mean,
not
part
a
of me
victim.
feels like, I have to know.
Believe me, man. If you look at this stuff, you can get really sucked into it. It's a rabbit hole.
Alright, I'll tell you what, Mark. I have a friend that's inside the police force. You just send me that box, and I will review everything that's inside it. You just go ahead and cooperate with the FBI and about the website and protect yourself. If I find anything that's of use inside that box that can help figure out what's all going on with these latest murders, I will personally turn it over to the police myself. Okay?
I don't know, man. I really don't know.
Mark, listen to me. This website was just a big part of my teenage years, okay? All the interactions with people across the world, talking about John Kramer's message and how he can help people, and how we all interacted together and formed a camaraderie, okay? This is my way of giving back to you all for helping me out.
I
so Mark,
get what you're
please listen to
saying,
me.
but this is so different.
Let me allow this opportunity to give back to you all. Let me help you.
I get what you're saying, but still.
Okay. I'll ship it first thing tomorrow morning.
Excellent. I'll go ahead and email you my address.
But Jacob, just promise me one thing, okay?
Yeah.
Don't let this stuff consume you, man. I mean, dude, keep in mind, there's a killer out there. We don't know who it is.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that it could possibly be somebody on the website. If you get wrapped up in this, you could become a potential target.
That's what I was saying.
Well, my life needs a little bit more excitement anyways.
No, but that's not...
Take it easy, man.
That's not what he was saying. You know what you're... I feel like... Okay. Oh my god, you're such an idiot. I feel like you know what you're getting yourself into. Especially with that last look at the camera. I don't know, at the same time, like... This is what I was saying, like... You're getting too close. And you will end up as a victim. Oh, literally when he kept asking about the box, I was like, please don't take it. Don't do it. This is so bad. So it's not Mark Hoffman. I thought that was what it was going to be. And he was going to use like a voice disguiser or something. But that doesn't seem to be the case. Yeah, I think, oh god, I think you're going to get way too close. And it's all going to go wrong. And it's like what Mark said at the end is like, you know, don't let yourself be wrapped up by this because you'll end up as a potential victim. And it's like, yeah, you could be. This is in this particular universe where John Kramer is real. This is not a good thing. Like, you got to be careful. I have two people who I think could have sent Mark the box though. Either Lawrence, because I forgot. No one knows about Lawrence Gordon. In the grand scheme of things, Lawrence and Adam in the bathroom trap was a tiny thing that happened in comparison to everything else. And no one knows who Lawrence Gordon is aside from, oh, he was John Kramer's doctor and then he disappeared. So I kind of forgot that actually, yeah, people aren't really going to know who Lawrence is. And again, people know Logan, so again, Mark knows of Logan because, oh, he's just someone who works at with the FBI. Halloran being a suspect, again, that was a thing that's from Jigsaw. Halloran gets framed, so I think it was interesting that that's included in here as well. But the fact that Mark was like, oh, a video of Mark Hoffman in the bathroom was sent, or like footage or a photo or whatever was sent, but we don't know how this video came about or anything. So I was like, okay, well, that's Lawrence, because Lawrence was the one who put Mark Hoffman in the bathroom at the end of Saw 3D. So that's the only person I can think of that it would be. But yeah, either Logan or Lawrence sent Mark the box. I don't know what the box is going to be though. That's concerning. The only thing I can think of is it's the reverse bear trap from Saw 6. But then again, did that get... That ended up with the cops in Saw 3D. And I think that's it. I can't really remember. Yeah, that stayed at the FBI place. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it would contain. Okay, so the last video we're going to look at in this reaction video is episode 4, which is called Today's Lesson, Kids. Who is Jigsaw? So I'm wondering if this is going to be Jacob actually having a lesson with the kids and with the classmates. Bit of a weird... There'll be a weird history lesson to have, but okay. But let's go. So this is Halloween. Okay, so it's the next day.
Okay. Normally I do this from at home, but I figure this is...
Sorry. Okay, let's start this again. Okay. Oh, so if you're wondering, are these always... 3, 2, 1. Okay, so Halloween. So this is literally the next day. Okay. Am I recording? Yes.
Okay. Normally I do this from at home, but I figure this just can't wait, okay? I'm at my school office here in my history classroom, but I have got to tell you all about my day today, okay?
Okay.
Okay, first of all, it's Halloween, alright? Kids are gonna be
Yeah.
crazy, of course, that's a typical school thing for anybody else. But, let me tell you something. This entire day was just crazy. Okay? How crazy, you ask? We had, let me see my list here. We had a total of about 7 kids. 7 kids today came up here wearing puppet mask, Jigsaw costumes, that pig face mask. That
Well, yeah, it's Halloween.
right there. That's what was used today for a lot of Halloween costumes. And our principal told us, if you see kids wearing or dressing up or dressing anything like going on today, flag them down, get them to take it down. And a handful of kids, you know, the kids are going to be kids, they're going to act that way, they're going to be dumb and act opinionated. Some got in trouble, some just listen right off the bat. But that's not the part right here. Of course, that's just typical kids' behavior.
I was going to say, that's very much what happened in Scream 1.
Here's what happened today. I have a total of 7 class periods, or I'm in the middle of just grading papers here at work.
Okay.
And what happened was, for the first time today, like, every single kid here came up to here, and every single kid in each classroom all raised their hand, and the first question that came out of their mouth is, who is Jigsaw? Who is John Kramer? Why is he killing people? And these kids don't know. They don't know the history about John Kramer. And it's up to people like me
to educate them.
To tell them and explain this to them.
Yeah, to educate that.
Not their parents. It's usually the school teachers. Because some parents are not going to explain to him, oh, he's just a silly kid at home. But who is he? I mean, people want to know. And who, when they want to come to history, who do they come to? The history teacher. That's me.
I guess that would be their history then, actually. That does make a lot of sense.
Why did I become a history teacher? Well, you know, it started off, you know, it has those little moments where teachers have one of those called aha moments, where it's all of a sudden you realize, this is what I want to do with my life, okay? When I was about, you know, in high school, one of my passions was history. I mean, I loved it. I loved, you know, my history teacher in high school, Mr. McFarland. He was a great guy. Loved World War II, loved Civil War, loved anything historical moments that happened right there. But also, like I say, I was fascinated with the characters and the people that helped influence history. People like Abe Lincoln, George Washington, FDR, all the stuff like that. But also, I was fascinated with the criminal organizations back in the day as a side project. Yeah, people
this
such
is
as
where I
Al
thought he was
Capone,
going. I was
Ted
hoping he was going to
Bundy,
start talking
John
about
Dillinger.
this.
It doesn't
Yeah.
have to involve crime. It could be like cult leaders such as
because him being a
Charles
history
Manson, or
teacher.
even something simple as the Zodiac Killer.
Yeah.
And then
I was wondering if
Jigsaw
he was going to
killings
bring this
happened
all
when
up.
I was a kid, that just made me want to learn even more about the guy. And that's why I went to the Jigsaw Rules website, to learn more about him, to understand him, to figure out who he is and what his motivations are. Not like how he kills people, because how John Kramer kills people was done back throughout the Dark Ages. All right? It's the motivations behind them. And so when my day started, I have 7 class periods. First hour class, I have like 10 people in that class, and then they all come in, they all raise their hands. It's like, did you hear about the Jigsaw killings, Mr. Walton? Like, what can you tell us? And kids were able to learn and stuff like that. But as I said, when I went back to being a history teacher, I decided, you know what, this should be fun, this should be fascinating. All these history facts right here that people want to learn and understand with. And I had that passion for history, okay? The same passion I had for history goes through every other kid's. But after like the first year, so I'm ready to take on the world. So I get hired at this school right here, and I'm excited. I'm ready to take on the world. I'm ready to show all these kids here in junior high and high school all about history. Everything that I'm passionate about, I want to share it to them, and hopefully they become passionate. Well, this is year 4 of teaching, and unfortunately, based on my experience, a lot of kids here are not as passionate about history as I am. You get a few kids that want to learn about history, but probably about 7 or 8 kids out of 10 just aren't that interested. They're just here to learn it, get through the day, and move on to the next hour's class, which next hour's class is algebra.
Some classes I was like that with, to be honest.
I didn't learn about my class rather than algebra, but I digress. So during that first hour, I have all these kids come up to me.
Yeah, maths class was definitely the one that I just wanted to get through.
Who's John Kramer? Who is Jigsaw? Why does he use a doll? Why is there a tricycle? Why does he have torture devices? Why does he have a pig mask? All these questions right here, and then I got to the point where you do what you're supposed to do as a teacher. You're supposed to move on, get the kids back on your subject. We got quiz every Friday that we got to take care of, and I know a lot of these kids just aren't ready for it, but I'm trying my best to get them on the curve. But within my next couple hour classes, same thing. Kids come in, they raise their hand. Who's Jigsaw? Who's John Kramer? Why is he using traps?
I guess, if it would suddenly be back on the news again, then they'd be curious about that.
Okay, well, I can't ignore it the entire day like this. Kids are coming in, and literally, as soon as one kid in 3rd hour raised their hand, it's like, Coach, my dad, who's been in jail several times, just got out a couple years ago. He's drinking again. He's becoming an alcoholic. He's being abusive. I'm staying with my grandparents' house. I am afraid that Jigsaw is going to go after him. What do you say to a kid like that?
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually. I didn't think
Don't worry,
that...
your dad is going to be fine. Don't worry, John Kramer's not going to go after people like that.
Yeah, but you don't know
But deep
that.
down,
Because at the same
those are
time...
the kind of people that John Kramer wants to help.
Exactly.
He wants to help them. Not to explain to kids. He's not there to kill people. He is there to help them. And it got to the point where how do you justify that?
Yeah.
How do you justify a serial killer's accents? How do you... It's just nuts.
This is really interesting, actually.
I decided on 3rd hour, I was like, okay, kids, here's everything I know about John Kramer. I'm going to tell you everything about him. I'm going to tell you what all I know, my personal experiences.
Because it's either they learn from you or they learn from the internet
stuff like that.
At
Did
that
they
time.
die gruesomely? Did some people survive his traps? What happened to those people who survived those traps? Everything that I could think of, I would bounce off and tell his kids. And it escalated from there. Kids would ask, well, who's this person? Who's this Amanda Young? Who's this Mark Hoffman? Were they involved? Did he believe? How many people survived the traps? And it got to the point where we're already like 30 minutes into the class, and I'm still answering questions. And then kids all around, they went from being fear to now growing a more sense of understanding. And then come to think of it, the same thing happened in the 4th hour, 5th hour, 6th hour classes. We just spent the entire day talking about everything that I knew about the guy to try to help calm the kids' fears about him and try to understand and try to tell them he is not there to kill you. He is there to help people understand. And if you appreciate your life, if you ignore your detractors, you embrace every day as if it was your
Yeah, but the
last.
problem with that is the way that he's doing it.
Person altogether, then that's what John Kramer would want. And to see kids, come in the classroom in a state of fear to now leaving, hoping, and I'm hoping that I've calmed their fears and educated them and explained to them who he is and what his ideology beliefs are. Come to think of it,
The problem is that all goes down the drain when
today
you
was
talk about
actually
Hoffman and
one
Young,
of the
though.
most impactful days I've had as a history teacher. I mean, kids came in, they were engaged, they wanted to learn more about the subject.
Oh no, we're
I
going
didn't
back
have any
to
discipline problems today.
going too close to the sun. Yeah. Something's
I just
just...
hope I get that box soon.
Yep, we're getting too close to the sun. Oh dear. Because something clicked in his head when that happened. He was like, wait a minute. This is the most engaged my students have ever been in my class. It's like, no, I get where you're going with this. I forgot to say with the last episode, so episode 3. I do apologise, I was going to say something else and then I got sidetracked and forgot. So episode 3 was the Skype one, calling Mark. I liked that episode, but I think the editing could have done with another edit. I think what could have been more interesting is have the video be split screen and have Jacob's face cam and Mark's like Skype window next to each other, so you didn't have this awkward sort of space in between them going back and forth. I think that would have worked better just to make it a bit tighter. I'm very interested to see where this is going to go. This has been really interesting. I think okay, so I need to find this out because I'm in the UK, I'm not American. What ages is junior high? Oh wow, okay. So junior high is 12 to 15 years. I thought it was a lot older because I thought junior high and high school was the same thing. Again, we have it a bit differently in the UK. We've got primary school and secondary school and then college and university. So it's a bit different. 12 to 15, God, okay. I thought, because he was talking about kids and I was like, oh, okay, so he's an adult. So he's just talking about like 15, 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds. No, bit younger than that. But this is the thing, like... Kids, humans, and especially kids, are curious creatures. Like, we were creatures. You know what I mean? Like, we're curious beings. And we want to know about things going on in the world. And again, if Jigsaw was a real thing, it would go down the same way as, like, you know, people have fascinations with, like, true crime stuff. I personally don't. But you know, you have true crime documentaries all the time on like Netflix and the History Channel and stuff. And they get in a lot of views because people have an interest in that. And I feel like it makes sense that this is the same thing. And even he was talking about like, you know, with Ted Bundy and with the Zodiac Killer and all that lot, like people were interested and curious by it. And the Jigsaw Killer, if he was a real thing, like if that was a real thing, it would go down the same way, which isn't something I ever considered, and it's like, that's really interesting to suddenly put him into the real world and think, okay, how would this actually go, how would this actually work? Because we've looked at it from other angles, but actually, I think it's interesting to have the main character, Jacob, be a teacher, because we're seeing things from his point of view, but we're hearing about, like, okay, young kids, they're going to inevitably see the news and see the Jigsaw murders on the news. What's their opinion going to be? Again, they're school kids, they're going to gossip, they're going to talk, and what is that going to look like? Very, very interesting. And also Jacob's saying, you know, as a history teacher, I feel like I have to say something. It's like, yeah, as a teacher, you do have a sense of responsibility to educate. And as I was saying when we were watching it, it's like, yeah, you either educate them in the classroom or they're going to go and talk to their mates, and that's where, you know, people are going to exaggerate stuff or not forget things, so they're going to spread, like, misinformation. So it's better to talk to a teacher or a parent, and like he was saying, like, the parent probably won't really talk much about it because they don't want to. So it's better to go to the teacher who is educated in this stuff, and especially Jacob, like he said, he's always talking about, like, oh, I always grew up with the original Jigsaw murders and had a connection in the girl classmate when he was a kid. If you're going to talk to anyone about it, if this was real, like, yeah, go talk to him. Like, it does make a lot of sense. Very, very interesting. And even that one kid being like, my dad was an alcoholic and he's out of jail now, but, like, is Jigsaw going to come after him? And it's like, Yeah. Yeah, he would do. Because the dad would fall under the Jigsaw's belief, and Jacob said, you know, what do I say to that? Because I can say, oh no, your dad's going to be fine, but it's like, but that's exactly who Jigsaw looks out for to like help. It's very interesting with the scenarios and situations that this whole universe has brought in, and I think it was really, really clever to have the main character be a teacher, especially in that age group. Because I think if it had been a bit older, so like 17 to 18 or 19 or whatever, I don't think it would have had much of an impact as him talking to 12 to 15-year-olds who are a lot younger and who will ask a lot more questions. I think that's very, very interesting. And we haven't really had that yet. We haven't really seen that yet. So I think it's really, really fascinating and really interesting to see how this has gone and to see where this is going to go. I am so concerned for you, Jacob. I am so... Especially at the end, like, something clicked in his head. You could practically see it. Like, something clicking in his head of, like, wait a minute. Hang on. It's like, no, you don't have to do this. Because he's applying his philosophies to John Kramer, forgetting that by this point, it's not John Kramer doing the games anymore. It's someone else who has different beliefs and who follows different ideologies, and it's not going to be the same. So yeah, I am so concerned with where this is going to go. But this has been really, really interesting. I've really enjoyed this. I think it's very good. It was a very good way of using like just one location, because it is just him talking in front of a camera and there's nothing else to it. But what they've done with that instead is like, they've technically used the Saw 1 treatment of like, okay, we don't have much budget or much anything, so let the script do the talking, let the script be good, and that will win people over. And I can kind of apply that to this. Of like, okay, you've kind of, like, you've got this in one location, you've used, 2 people at the most, but the script is really interesting, it's really good. There is a couple of acting hiccups, especially in the first video, but again, this is the start of it. There's probably going to be some acting hiccups, because when you're acting the first time round, it's going to be a bit all over the place, and that's fine. I don't really mind that. But this has been really, really interesting. I'm very curious to see where this is going to go next. So this was episode 1 to 4 of the Jigsaw blogs. What I'm going to do, I did the same thing that I did with the Sandersides videos. I'll put the Jigsaw blogs playlist in the description below, so you guys can go off and watch these for yourselves. But thank you all for watching, and I will see you all soon. Bye!